Alright, let me get this thing situated here. Alright folks, get this old man to sit down for a minute. You don't get to see my face too much. Of course, after seeing me you understand why. But you know, I've got over 2,800 videos now, and I've done a lot of carving over those 30 years or more, and I think I started back in 2007, and I mean, I still like to carve for you, but you know, I think now let's get a little bit more serious concerning our wood carving as far as it goes, and just I want to start a little series now called Let's Talk Carving. Now, most of you might know on Facebook. Now, I know a lot of you that are on here don't use Facebook. I do use Facebook even at my age because I'm able to get along with a lot of carvers. I'm able to run this Facebook page, Let's Talk Carving, and we got some very interesting things we talk about. And I think more important now is a lot of people that are already carving and things like that need to just ask questions, know about things. And the wonderful thing is I have this site, Let's Talk Carving. I've got a lot of fantastic carvers that are on the site to help answer questions that people would like to know. And so it was a great idea, and I love it. And in fact, I love it now even more than I have to kind of watch the site because there's so many scammers wanting to get on it. But what I'd like to talk to you about a little bit is, okay, now I've taught you a lot about carving, and there are so many carvers now on YouTube and other places like that for free. When I first started carving, we just didn't, in 2007, we didn't have anybody hardly at all, and if you didn't take a class, you didn't learn from anybody. So that's why I started it more than anything in the world, for people who didn't have the money to take classes and stuff. Caught a lot of flack for it, but I kept on. And the most important thing is now let's just talk about enjoying our carving. Now that you've learned to carve or have done a few pieces and stuff, let's explain to ourselves how to enjoy it more than anything in the world, because carving is about having fun. Now, most of us, the people that make a living doing it, there's some people still make a living doing it. That's a tough way to make a living, I'll tell you what. I mean, it's okay if you want to starve to death, but most people aren't able to make a living carving. That's all there is to it. But especially in the type of carving we do. Now they got machines, they've got everything in the world that can reproduce these stuff in bulk. So just understand that it's time to start just having a good time, and that's another reason I started that website, Let's Talk Carving. On Saturdays we have carving trivia where we ask questions and people tell us things and such as. So one of the things I want to discuss with you real quick now is, now that you've learned to carve, how can you have fun doing it? More than that, how can you have fun meeting people doing it? If you're kind of a loner and stuff, I understand that. But if you have to excuse, I got a heater going on. It's pretty cold down here in Texas right now. In fact, it's very cold. So we just have to, go through that. And then I'm going to get on the internet and I'm going to present some of these questions that people have asked on Let's Talk Carving. And we'll answer those questions a little bit. But one of the things I want to talk to you about more than anything in the world is how to have fun with your carving. Now, I've had a lot of fun, met a lot of people, and a lot of people go, well, the only reason that I can meet people is I have to go to a carving show or something like that to meet people and have fun, talk about carving. That's absolutely untrue. I have met a lot of people in my life, and carving is a conversation piece, and use it as that. It's a great conversation piece, and you can use that carving to start conversations. For instance, I can go inside of say in the morning you want to have coffee. Just say this, you want to have coffee in the morning, and you go to a special place and have Starbucks. I don't care where you go. I'm going to spend $5 on coffee, that's fine, it don't matter to me. But you go in one of those places and you bring your carving stuff with you, and you sit down and you're drinking your coffee, and you pull out your whittled piece or whittled carving, and you start carving on it. And I guarantee you, before you know it, somebody's asking you, "Oh man, what are you doing? What do you see?" The issue that we've got to understand about carving or whittling or anything is that it's not done anymore. People don't see it anymore. That's why they become fascinated with it. That's why they want to talk to you about it. That's why they come by and they, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you carving? What are you doing?" Because they haven't seen this kind of stuff in so long. Maybe they had a grandfather or a grandmother or whatever it was that used to carve or whatever. And so it's a conversation piece that will start talking and start people up. I've made a lot of friends. I've had people, I set up and start carving. I've done it in doctor's offices, and people come sit by you. Or people want to talk to you. Well, where'd you learn to do that? What have you done that? And I'm telling you, there's not that many people that carve or whittle. And it's a fascination to people. And if you want to start up a conversation, I guarantee you, and you want to talk to people, just start doing it, and they'll come over and, "What are you doing? What are you, oh wow, my grandfather used to carve, my great uncle used to carve," or something like that. And it's a great conversation piece to start up. So use your carving in that way. It's not trying to show off or anything like that. I've been up to see my friends in Gatlinburg and places like that, and I used to take, and I'd go sit on a bench in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, where there's tourists and stuff, and I'd start put a few of my finished pieces out, and I'd start whittling in front of them, and before I know it, I got a crowd around me, and they're wanting to talk and everything like that. It's not showing off. And this was the way I drew people, that I could give them my cards so that they would, if they wanted to learn how to carve, they could go to my website. I didn't care if they subscribed or not. I had no idea. Listen, subscribers are very important to me, but they're not that important because I don't make any money off YouTube. I don't do that. And there's nothing wrong with making money if you want to. I just have never taken a dime from YouTube because it's all been about wanting to help teach people. And if you can get people interested, and I'll give them my card, and like I said, we'll go to my website and on YouTube and see if you would like to learn how to carve and stuff like that. So have fun with your carving. Now you say, well, I mean, I've got, what about the chips? What about this? What about those type of things? When you go out in public, I mean, you don't want to get chips all over the floor and stuff like that. Well, that's very simple. If you're sitting at a table and you're eating or something like that, or you're drinking a coffee or whatever it is, then use the table as a place to carve with. And I'm talking about carving with a knife now. I'm not talking about carving with a moto tool or a power carving. You can't do that, of course, outside. And there's another thing. When I carve in a doctor's office, I don't have a table and I'm some. So let me show you something. This is what I use right here. See it? This is what I use. Now all this is from Harbor Freight, and they're very cheap. And it opens up, and inside I have my knives. I have little carving things. I have patterns. Here's a little bear I've done. In other words, all my knives and my little gouges and stuff are right there. Now if I want to, I can carve and let the chips fall inside the box. And when it falls inside the box, then I'll leave them in there. When I get home, then I just clean everything out and clean the chips out of the box and everything like that. And all this is a very cheap little, like a little fishing box. See, I've got, I don't know how many knives I've got in here. I keep my pencils, I keep my Band-Aids, I keep a few little figures that I want to work on, everything like that. I've got all my carving stuff, plus a place that when I carve, I can carve over it and I can put my chips, let my chips fall inside there. Very simple. Very, very simple, and believe me, it works fantastic. It works great. So, you know, I mean, have fun with your carving. Have a lot of fun with it, and enjoy yourself, and learn to meet people with it. I'm telling you, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I'm only got to meet is other carvers. That's the only people that'll talk to you about this." Let me tell you something. I've been carving for 30 years. And I have met a lot of people and made friends with a lot of people. And even if you'd like to sell a few of your little carvings, someone sees your stuff. Hey, would you make me this? Hey, would you make me that? Hey, would you do that? And even if they live away, yeah, you know, you can get with them, or they can give you their number, or you can call them, or you can, and then you can ship it and tell them how much it is or whatever it is. But you've got to get out there. If you want to sell carvings, if you want to do things like that, you got to get out there and let the public see you. That's all there is to it. It's not just a carving show. People think, oh, well, I got to wait a whole year for a carving show in order to get people to see my carvings and to sell a few little whittlings and stuff like that. No, that's absurd. Most people become very drawn to someone who has the talent to do something that they are not used to. And believe me, wood carving is an art. It's a lost legend art. It really is. You just don't see people doing it anymore. Very few people do it. Although many people have had grandfathers, grandmothers, uncles, great uncles, whatever. I used to have a great uncle that whittled. I used to have this. So it gets you to talking to them. And you make friends with them. And they say, look, sit down, you know, if you want to see what I'm doing and all that stuff. Or little kids will walk up there and they'll, oh, you know, want to see it and stuff. There is, you know, in the whole 30 years that I have carved outside of the house and not just sitting by myself and amongst people, not once have I ever not drawn a crowd or drawn people to talk to me and ask me, what is that? What are you doing? Is that what I think it is? Is that whittling? Is that carving? Then they start in the stories. I had a grandfather. I had an uncle. I had this. I had that. Enjoy your hobby and make it an enjoyable thing with others. Even if you don't think you're all that good and stuff like that, you'd be just battered and surprised at what people like, because they've never seen people do things like that. Even if you're not all that great or good or whatever, they just become fascinated with what you're doing, that you can do something that they can't do. And remember, folks, wood carving is an art, but it is a lost art. It's something people just don't do anymore. They just don't do it. And so that's why it becomes a fascinating thing to people. Yeah, you'll have a lot of people who won't talk to you, won't say anything. Some of them are just looking over there. Let me explain to you what happened one time. I was at this was when I wasn't having all my stomach trouble that I have now, but I was at I think it was at a Cracker Barrel or something like that. And what I used to do, and I still do it, is if I go someplace and have a meal, after the meal, and even before while I'm waiting on it sometimes, I'll take out a piece and I'll start whittling on it. And one of the things, bring you a piece that's already finished and just kind of set it up where people can see what you're doing or see what you've accomplished. And I didn't think nothing of it, but I was whittling, but I noticed a young man over there with a party of 4. It was him, his girlfriend, wife, I don't know, and another couple. And he kept looking at me. But I just kind of, okay, I don't know, I thought, man, okay, maybe he's become interested in stuff. And anyway, he just got up, they got up to leave, and I had gone to the bathroom and came back, and the waitress came over and said, I want you to know those people paid for your meal. And she just told me, she said, the young man wanted to say, my grandpa used to do that. And thank you for bringing back memories. He didn't even speak to me. Didn't say a word to me. Said nothing to me. But bought my meal. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to buy your meal or anything like that. I'm just saying these are incidents. And I just have a few. I'm sure there's people that have carved outside, carve around the campfire, whatever. Bring you a little box like that with your knives, and if you can get to a place where you can just carve. Now, like when I would go to Gatlinburg, I would always bring a towel with me, and I'd put that towel down to catch my shavings, okay? And so I'd be carving on it, and I'd have the towel here, and it'd catch my shavings, and then at the end, I would just wrap that towel up and go over to the trash can and just shake it out, in other words, and shake the shavings out where I'm not getting it all over the place. Now, I want to say one thing. If you're going to do it outside or do it enclosed in someone's area, don't leave them all over the floor. You do that, they're going to get, the staff and everyone's going to get pissed. And excuse me, I mean, you know, they'll get mad, and they will, you know, then they don't want you there anymore. But I know Whittler Dave up in Gatlinburg, he goes to on a Friday mornings, he goes to Burger King and sits at the table and whittles and has all kind of people, and he sells his stuff, and they come by and will buy stuff from him and things. So if you want to have fun, if you want to really enjoy your carving, share it with the public. Just don't be a person who doesn't want to have anything to do with anyone else or anything like that. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But share it with the public, because they like to see those things. They like to see them, and they like to see you sharing with them and stuff. So that's just an idea, just a small idea about what it is that we enjoy, and to make your carving. There was a guy I saw one time that he would... he used to go out in front of, I think it was Cracker Barrel, and he said he set up a little table, and Cracker Barrel always get permission before you do this, okay? Always get permission, go in and say, would you mind me setting up and just carving out in front of your place? And most of them don't, because it attracts people and stuff. And he sat out in front of, I think it was Cracker Barrel or one of these places, with just a little old table, and would sit there and carve, and he would, I'm sorry, oh gosh, show people his stuff, and he said he had more fun than anything in the world. There's nothing more fun than sharing an art that you love with others. And who knows, you may get somebody interested in doing it. You don't ever know. So you don't have to wait for carving shows every year to show your ware and talk with people and other things like that. To me, I think that's more for talking with other carvers who are familiar with it and stuff, you know, with the public. Just do that and enjoy yourself and share it. So the next thing I want to do, that's just a little tidbit, as we might say, is I want to get my, let me see if I can get this back in. These computers. I want to share some questions that are asked at my Let's Talk Carving, and we're just going to kind of share. I tell you what, if you're not a member of Let's Talk Carving, and this isn't because I started it, it's because it has helped so many people. Here's one from Terry Grimm, and he wrote this, and he's got a picture of a carving he's almost finished of a man, and he says, "This is the part I like after I lay my knife down. Or this part I don't like after I lay my." He asks himself, is it done? Is there anything else I can do? Maybe a little tweak here or there. What color should I paint the hat, the coat, the shirt, the pants, the shoes? And I forgot. What color should I paint his hair and beard? Sometimes it's easier to carve than have to come up with a color scheme. Any suggestions? Well, that's a legitimate question about carving. First of all, you've watched a lot of my videos. After I wet it and stuff, I'll be tweaking with it a little bit more, and I'll be, you know, when is it done? Well, I think it's done when you look at it and say, you know what, it's ready to be painted. And if you want to tweak some more, if you want to change this, you want to change that, you can do that. Now, there's a certain point you reach in your carving where you're not going to be able to change anymore. It's just that simple. You're not going to be able to change the rest of it, because if you do too much changing, then it's going to be entirely different than what you set it out to be. You know, if you put a beard on him, I mean, you can take the beard off, but it's probably going to show signs that there's issues that you have. Maybe you don't have enough wood, or unless you didn't take enough off. But if you take enough off and you start taking too much off on the face, you know what's going to happen. Then his face is going to look too thin, and things are going to be an issue. And the carving that he has here, I wish you could see it, but it's just like a typical man with his hands in his pockets. And of course there's shavings all over it. And you know, he has 6 comments here. Let me first say that, believe it or not, this is something that a lot of carvers have an issue with. When am I done? When am I finished my carving? When am I done with it? And when do you think that I'm done? And a lot of times they're asking, when do you think I'm done with it? Well, as a carver, you're going to have to understand that when you get through, there's going to reach a point where you know, okay, it's ready to be painted. It's ready to be finished. It's ready to do that. And the key is not, you know, is it going to be perfect the way it is? And I think that's what he's suggesting here. Is there anything else I can do? Well, yeah, there's other things you can do, but it's best. The best thing to do is go ahead, if you feel that it's finished or close to it, go ahead and finish it. Do the painting, do everything like that. And if you're not satisfied with it, then carve you another one. You know, Doug Linker has talked to me on message, and he's told me, see, a lot of people think Doug, and a lot of us are like that, a lot of people think Doug just, when he carves something, you go, oh man, that guy's just, you know, but people don't understand that Doug has already carved this piece probably about 5 or 6 times before he ever does the video. Because each time he perfects it a little bit more and more. That's why whenever he does the video, it looks as good as it does. That's why you don't see any mistakes. That's why about when he edits his videos, he puts them together and does things like that. Now I don't. I mean, if I tear off a nose or something like that, I'm going to tell you I tore off a nose. That doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying, Doug carves the piece when he goes to do a video on a piece. He'll carve it 3 or 4 or 5 times, and he'll tell you that before he actually does the one that you're going to see. So it isn't always right the first time, folks. It isn't. Sometimes you just don't get it right. Sometimes you got to do it 2 or 3 times. But if the first time there's something on it maybe that you didn't like, then do it again. And try something else the next time, and try something else the next time. It's like patterns, in other words. I have made hundreds of characters from the same pattern, and each character looked different. But the way you do that is the fact that you try it, and you try this or this or this or this or this. Put a hat on him this time. Put not a hat on him this time. Put a beard on him this time. Put a mustache on him this time. Put this on him this time. And as you continue to do it, then you will become better and better at what you're doing. So you ask yourself, well, is it finished? Well, it's finished as far as it's finished enough as far as what you can do. If there's no ideas don't come anymore, then it's finished. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and finish it. Go ahead and paint it or whatever. Go ahead and do that. But don't expect that every project's going to be perfect or whatever, in other words. Or that it may not even be a throwaway or whatever. It's just the way things are. And if you do another one and do another one and do another one, just like those patterns. I've done different figures from the patterns. Some of them I've liked, some of them I don't like. Some I've tossed in the trash can. I don't like that. I don't like the way he turned out. But I love the way my next one turned out. That's what you have to understand about carving. And the wonderful thing about it, you know, and then we go, what color should I paint the hat, the coat, the shirt? Well, that's also through experimentation. I have carved figures that I have painted and were not happy with the paint job. And turned around and go, oh, that looks garbage. And really, once you paint them or put you know, once it soaks into the paint, you're not going, soaks into the wood, you're not going to be able to change it all that much. You can try, but you're not going to. So basically, you end up with something that, well, I don't think that color was right. I don't think that was right. Well, don't do it next time. It's trial and error. That's what wood carving is all about. It's trial and error. And that's what this is about. And what color should I paint it? Well, look around. Look at some things. Look at, just go out among people. Look at the color of their hats. Look at the color of their clothes. Look at these type of things. And I am a neutral color person. I am not a person that with a lot of bright colors. I am more of a neutral color person. So I like my friends, especially when my hobos, for instance, when I do my hobos and I do them different from one another, even though they had the same type look. And maybe I'll put more of a shaded beard on one and maybe less. But that's all done by trial and error. You can't expect everything to be perfect for every carving and know how to do it. So what you do, you dive in there and you do it. And if you don't like this one, then do you another one. And then do something different with that one. That's the only way you can do it. It's not a matter of, I've got to get it just right the first time. Because most of the time that's not going to happen with most of us. We're not going to get it right the first time. We're, you know, and asking what color should I paint the hat among people, and it's a good question, but you're going to get 1,000 different answers. And let me read some of the answers that people have given into this. Jeff Gandy says, same here, I have the same problem. Jim says, I often wonder where Michelangelo finished carving David, as he looked at it and said the same thing. I don't think carvings are ever done. You just get to the point where you're tired of it and you're finished, just my opinion. That's very good. That is a very good explanation of what it is. You know, do we ever think it's finished? No, we don't. Because we can look at a carving later and go, you know what, I wish I'd have done that. I wish I'd have done that. And that's the wonderful thing about art. That's the wonderful thing about, and that's why you improve with each piece that you do. You improve because, you know, we think these people get on there and people do videos now, they edit videos. And if it don't turn out, if it doesn't, excuse me, don't. If it doesn't turn out there right the first, they'll just do another one. You just don't see it. So you think, oh wow, they're doing it all, you know, the first time and stuff. Now I have done videos that's turned out bad and I just didn't even post a video. So don't think I'm either, you know, either or. And Joseph Bayar says, they're rarely ever done. They just get to the point where you're willing to accept them as they are. I tweaked carvings months after they were painted. Now listen to this. I have tweaked carvings months after they were painted. My approach is to simply go on to the next one and hope I see an improvement. As far as color schemes, don't forget that you always simply paint over anything you don't like. Now sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I want my wood to show through, okay? So when I paint them, I sort of stain them. So that's not possible what I do. Don't let it stress you. You do this for relaxation and fun. At least I do. There you go. Perfect, Joseph. And Bob says, before you finish, set it aside for a day or so, then go back and look at it. That's a good thing, Bob. Before you finish, set it aside for a day or so, then go back and look at it. And you may see something different. You may see something you want to add. You may want to see these type. This is what's wonderful about Let's Talk Carving. I'm not pushing it for me, folks. I push it for the great people and the great answers that people get, in other words. So, do you ever come to a point where you think your carving is finished? No, I don't think you do. I think you come to a point where you look at it and go, you know what, I don't feel I can do any more. But you may look a month later and go, you know what, I should have done that. But that's what carving's about, folks. That's what whittling is about. That's what those things are about. It's about doing something that you enjoy. Okay. So we can answer that question. All right, here we go. Johnny Layton. Now Johnny's becoming a YouTube carver, and Johnny is, if you ever want to go to his videos, please do. His name is Johnny, Johnnny Layton. He's got some good carving videos and very, very pretends. So, and he asked, where can I get a good wood carver's tool tote? And he's got 26 answers here. I was lucky. I was sent one after the hurricane, the flooding. Now, like I said, I keep most of my stuff in a little box like this. But I know what they're talking about. They've got some really nice wood carver's totes, tool totes that are made, you know, for all the gouges and things like that, and they're great. I'm telling you, they are. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, you see, this is live. There's people that make them. Woodcraft makes them. Joshua says Wendy Cap, C-A-P-E though, Studios offers a carousel style tool tote that fits in a bucket. They make two sizes, one for a 2-gallon and one for a 5-gallon. Bob Stanlander, okay, that's where you can get it, in other words. Jerry Clark makes one. They say try Jerry Clark. Build your own, you can get patterns for them. It says Wendy Cape Studios. Yeah, check out Wendy Cape Studios, they sell them. Also Google Stanlander wood carving. He used to sell them. Okay, that's Wendy Cape Studios, and Stanlander wood carving. I met this man, Stanlander, up in Charlotte when I visited the Charlotte show up there, and he was a very nice fella, very was, and so it's Johnny was looking for where to find a tool tote, you know, and all that. So that was there's a lot of here's a guy that see, this was wonderful. Here's Johnny asked this: what's the best type of leather for a strop? I hear a lot of folks say suede. Why? If not suede, then what else? Okay, so here's someone making their own strop. Well, what's the best type of leather for it? 55 comments. I will not read them all. Now, remember, when you're talking about sharpening and stropping, you may get 100 different answers. That's the reason why, and all that stuff. Here, Nicholas says, I played around with all types, and I probably made about 25 or more strops. My findings are smooth, ultra-thin kangaroo is the best by far. Harder to apply compound, yes, but warm the strop up and apply just fine. Best strop I've ever used. So now kangaroo leather, I don't know. And a lot of people don't even use leather. I use a power strop and with a leather belt. There's quite a few people that use power. I do. I like power strops. People keep saying kangaroo leather is the best. Okay. A lot of people say it's not the leather, it's the compound you apply. Many old world master carvers use a block of wood with spit and fine marble dust from a quarry. The compound. A lot of people say that. I believe, though leather is a very important part of it, though. But different people, of course, that's a loaded question that you get all kind. This guy says just cowhide strop, something around 8 ounces or more. Opinions may vary on, you know, which is this cowhide leather that people use. Here's a guy who says, I made my old leather belt with the suede side up one side of the wood's handle and a smooth piece on the other side. So there's I made all mine from saddle leather, he says, scraps from the suit's smooth side up and only attached from one side to the board. Some guy goes moose or deer. Okay. Yeah, I guess you could use all types of strop. Suede because it's thin. So you're going to get a lot of leather. Like when you ask a question like that, you're going to get a lot of answers. But the main thing is you're getting a lot of answers, and a lot of people are helping a lot of people on Let's Talk Carving. And here's one that was very interesting. I thought this man posted a picture of some gouges that he bought, and he said, last week I posted photos of the horribly shaped edges on a set of KCT gouges, and I purchased it in January this year. The company would not return calls or emails to me. Folks here highly recommend Dick Belcher in Ohio to sharpen the tools. I can absolutely say that Dick is both a wizard at sharpening and just an amazing resource. He charges $2 a gouge, and what this was all about was this guy told him that the metal on these gouges were not all that good. Now, this is an important thing to talk about. This man got these gouges from KCT, and which is also, I think, has something to do with you know, the knives. oh gosh, uh, OCT. I'm sorry, OCT knives, and he didn't get good satisfaction out of it. And there were some people that kind of badmouth, oh, I wouldn't have anything from these people or whatever. And I put on there, I did, okay, I'm going to allow this post on here, but we need to be careful as far as bad-mouthing a carving dealer's tools. I agree that what you're saying is correct, but perhaps we can also have others who like their tools. One thing we're going to have to understand about carving, I can get a knife from a maker that I really like the knife, okay? I like their handles, I like the knife, I like the steel, I like the blade, I like it sharpened. And I can get them and just be in love with them forever. And someone else can get one and go, I don't like it, I don't like what it was, I don't like what it was, and not be happy with it. So when we begin to talk about manufacturers or dealers' tools, we have to be extremely careful what we're talking about. And the reason I say that is you don't want to turn something, and I've corrected this, you don't want to turn something like this as a bashing tool on a dealer because you didn't like specifically their tools. Now it could be an issue with them, it could be an issue with you. I don't know. I'm just saying that when he did find somebody that sharpened them right, he loved them then. So that's where you have to be kind of careful, because some people's tools are this, some people's tools are that. So we've got to be extremely careful when we talk about something, not to bash a dealer or bash their wood or something like that. Because I know people who have gotten a knife from a good knife maker and something happened to that knife. Maybe a tip broke off, whatever, and the guy gets mad and he starts bad-mouthing them. Usually I won't allow this type of stuff because so many people, but I have used OCCT knives and they're great knives. They are great knives. Some people don't like them. Now, most people all agree they like a Helvey. You know, I mean, it's Rich and Holly make amazing knives. But there are other good knife makers too. And there are other, you pay for what you get. I'm sorry, you do. You pay for what you get. And if you're going to get a much better knife a lot of times, you might pay for it. But the thing is, what you may not like, someone else likes. What I may not like, you may love. So you want to be careful. And I know the guy was just asking a question, and that's why I allowed it. I know he wasn't trying to badmouth. He was just asking a question. You need to be careful about talking about someone else, a dealer's tools, because it could hurt their business by people looking and saying, hey, you know, this guy makes some terrible stuff. No, that's not necessarily true. The best thing to do is, if you have a problem, say you break a tip off a knife, if you do whatever it is, people can show you or tell you how to solve that. But if not, you get with your dealer and see if they can help you in some way. And that's the best thing to do, rather than get on here or get on anywhere and badmouth the person, because here's a person asking about how he can clean a strop, a carving strop. In other words, after a period of time, you keep putting compound on it, it's going to get thick. Okay, folks, it's going to stay on there, it's going to get thick. And a lot of times you're not really going across any kind of leather, you're just going across compound. And a lot of people like to clean their strops. And they've explained ways. Nicholas says that happens with certain compounds and leathers after you reload it many times. Doesn't hurt anything, just either can add on top or clean off. I usually clean mine about 3 to 5 applications depending on how heavy I've used it or if it hurts my eyes. And a lot of times it's just scraping off the old compound. Just as simple as that, in other words. So people understand that. People know what's going on. And okay, trying to get some more answers. Here's one up. Michelle said, I accidentally left my strop and compound outside on the table for a few hours over the summertime. When I came back out, it had melted in the summer sun and had a whole milky looking chalky look on the compound after it rehardened. I've since used it again and it works just fine, but I wonder if that's got anything to do with it. I'm a complete newbie to the hobby, just a little over 6 months, so I don't have much to say on the topic, but I have something similar happen. Well, that's interesting. I've never left a strop outside or anything like that, and the sun is melting it. Okay. I'm going to take one more here, and then we're going to cut this off for now, and we'll do some more talking later. I think it's a good thing. Here's Jeff Lynn's got a good one. It says, I'm looking to get a tabletop bandsaw to basically cut basswood for carving, primarily cutting sticks on diagonal, small roughouts and suggestions. Now he's looking to get a tabletop bandsaw. Now most of you, I think, know what a tabletop bandsaw. People have used these in their apartments as well. They're the smaller bandsaws, which is probably around 9 inches, 10-inch bandsaws, and they don't have a stand on them. Now you can get stands for them, of course. My Delta, my 14-inch Delta, is not a tabletop. It's a regular bandsaw with a 1 horsepower motor. And they, most of the time, they're 8-inch, 9-inch, or 10-inch bandsaws. Most of them are 9 and 10. Now, when you get to a 12-inch bandsaw or 10-inch bandsaw, most of the time, a lot of times, the 10-inch bandsaw is on a stand. Not always. You can get portable ones that will bolt to your table or whatever. But most of your 10-inch do have stands, but it's your 9-inch bandsaws that I don't see too many 8-inch. I'm sorry, excuse my sometimes I get like this. I'm not tired. I do this a lot of times with my lungs. As you know, I only have one lung. When I start talking a lot, sometimes that lung gets tired, but I'm looking to get a table saw. Now, let me say, I'm going to read you some answers first, and then we're going to talk about this. Tom says, if you're looking to cut angles from square stock, I would say don't go less than a 10-inch. My 7-inch could do, okay, here's a 7-inch bandsaw. Oh, okay. Could do 1 to 2 inch diagonal cuts, but nothing bigger. My 10-inch does 3-inch with no problems. Okay. He says use at least a 10-inch bandsaw. Nothing but praise for my wind purchase from Amazon. Get the horsepower 1. In other words, a 1 horsepower one. You can get one. I have owned 4 benchtop saws. The Rikon is superior to the first 3. Powerful, precise, rack and pinion, height adjusted, and more. Yes, expensive, but you get what you pay for, and that's true. I like the Rikon. Now here's something that guy Ken Edgerly said, and Ken's right. I went on Facebook Marketplace a couple years ago and got an old Sears Craftsman for for around $100. And these Sears Craftsman are 12-inch bandsaws, and they have a stand. They're on a stand and all that other stuff. And you can do that. Get them for about $100. It worked great for that cutting basswood as well as harder woods. Much better than paying close to $1,000 for a new one. I still see them in marketplace for a good price. Fairly easy to work on and adjust. I was concerned because they have blocks for blade guides rather than roller bearings, but I haven't had any problems with the block guides. Okay. Just make sure the teeth are adjusted out from the guides. Easy adjustment to do. And people do this a lot of times. They'll go on Facebook Marketplace and they'll find a 12-inch bandsaw. And a lot of people, they'll get bandsaws and they won't lose them. A lot of people buy bandsaws for their shop and they just don't use them. Now, as a carver, a bandsaw is one of the most important tools you can use, because I love my Delta 14-inch bandsaw. I absolutely love it. I love it more than anything in the world, and I use it a lot. So, yes, the bandsaw is an important factor. And you can find, now like I said, the Craftsman, the old Craftsman 12-inch bandsaws were good bandsaws. And that's what these are. These are the Craftsman. I don't know if they're not the old ones like I used to have, but some of them are. And they have, the main thing is a lot of them had that 1 horsepower motor, and that's very important. The horsepower of the motor is very, very important. And the wind makes a 10-inch bandsaw. A lot of people like it. This is another thing. A lot of people like them. A lot of people don't. You know, you can ask a lot of different people what you do. But when you're looking for tabletops, I got a little tabletop from Menards for $70. Table tilts, love it. Thing is, what do you want to cut? That's the main thing. If you're going to get a 9-inch bandsaw with a 1/3 horsepower motor and you want to cut 4-inch basswood, you don't want to do that, folks. 4-inch basswood is thick and it's tough to cut, and you better have a machine that has, I would say, I like a 1 horsepower motor. Anything under a 1 horsepower motor is, you're going to bog down in real thick basswood. You really will. Even with a good blade, you have a hard time cutting it a lot slower and stuff like that. So I like the 1 horsepower motor. That's just me, okay? That's not everybody doesn't do that, in other words. Everybody doesn't have to have that. And anyway, so there's a lot of people, marketplace, best bet, same thing here. I've seen old Jet and Grizzly bandsaws. Get them a lot cheaper, get them half price, that you can find on Facebook Marketplace. And I'm going to close this for now, and we'll do another time with it. These bandsaws, when you get a tabletop bandsaw, please don't try not to get one too small that doesn't have a lot of power, because I'm going to be honest with you, they're just not going to cut that real thick basswood. They're not going to do it. You're going to struggle really bad. Now, it might cut it, but you're going to have to go so slow it's pitiful. And then it starts to bog down. And when it bogs down, what happens? It begins to burn that blade. It gets trapped, it burns the blade, and the next thing you know, the blade becomes dull and everything like that. So if you're going to work with a tabletop bandsaw, be sure and understand. And I would say this, like just the guy said, I got a 10-inch Wind, but it's got the 1 horsepower motor. Your horsepower means a whole lot, folks. It does. I don't care what anybody says. It means a whole lot as far as cutting thick wood. My Delta out there will cut 5-6 inch basswood. I don't use 5 or 6 inch basswood. but it'll just cut great. And it's old, it is. But keep a good blade on it, and like I said, go on Facebook Marketplace. Those old Craftsman 12-inch were good bandsaws, and they you may have to do some tweaking to it and everything like that, but you'll have a good bandsaw, and you get them some $150, $100. You really can, because people, like I said, people buy bandsaws whenever they do a shop most of the time, and unless you use it a lot, which a lot of people don't, that's why they end up selling a lot. That's why they end up selling these things, because they just don't use it all that much. Of course, you want to be careful. You want to try it out. You got to buy a used bandsaw. Here we go again. Go over there, try it out, see how it works, everything like that. In other words, don't just buy it and say as seen, and then use it and find out it's all broken up and everything like that, or gone through something that's not going to be repairable. So that's a caution of anything that you buy used cars, whatever. You need to check them out. You need to look at them. You need to try them. If you want to cut a 5-inch piece of wood, bring that 5-inch piece of wood over there and try to see if it'll cut it. That's the best way to do anything like that. All right, I'm not going to go any further today with this Let's Talk Carving thing, but we're going to go back to it. We're going to do a lot of this so that you can understand and realize that there are people everywhere as carvers that have the same questions as you might have. And if you can have a chance to get on Let's Talk Carving, then please do. Get on Facebook, and it's called Let's Talk Carving. And like I told you, I'm not over there just to get subscribers. We're over there as a group of carvers teaching one another what they need to know about carving. All right? All right, well, God bless you now. And we'll continue this and hope that we can somehow get you lined out on what and to be honest with you, if you have questions in the comments sections and stuff like that, ask me, and in the next phase I will ask you and tell you, that hey, this person has this question, and I can answer it for you. But see, the thing about carving is we're not here just for me to answer questions, because I answer them according to how I feel and how I think. Okay? But that isn't always the case of how much someone else learns. So that's why it's so important that we all get together and that we all help one another in this carving adventure. All right, God bless you now. Have a good one. Stay warm. I know it's getting pretty rough. My son in Kentucky, he's catching some bad stuff. Bye-bye.